And the Nautilus Project team expressed grave concern at the news that the OS35 was leaking fuel into the sea. It says it has been monitoring the situation closely, and with this a predictable outcome. It adds that with no pumping activities having taken place over the last 2 days, we now face a potential leak of 500 tons of fuel and oils contaminating our coastline, and that any attempt at recovery could have reduced the total gross spillage. Stagnetto joins us live. He's with Christine Vasquez.
Stagnetto is here with me, and so is half of Gibraltar. A lot of people are interested in coming here to see the ship. They're not going to talk to us, but Lewis is. So Lewis, thank you for joining us.
Good evening.
So tell me, concerned about the spill, of course, just how detrimental do you feel it could be?
So the impacts of oil on the marine environment are very, very clear. I mean, the research is really straightforward. The more we pollute, the more oil there is in the environment, the worse the longer term effects are on the ecosystem. And this goes right the way from the species at the very base of the food chain, right the way through to the larger, at the top of the food chain, things like cetaceans, dolphins and whales, which we see frequently in these waters.
You say that as long as we have bunkering, we will need to manage the spills. Do you feel that this is not being done?
Obviously, my main concern here is for the environment, and bunkering is always going to be something that affects the environment. So, yeah, more can always be done in order to protect our ecosystem.
You mentioned the species, of course the dolphins, the whales are what come to mind. What else are we talking about?
So, most people are probably aware by now of Patella ferruginea, which is the limpet. Now, just off the coast from here, a survey was done in 2021, and 519 of these limpets were found. These are protected. These are an EU protected species, and so obviously this is a very high density of these animals, which inevitably are going to be affected by the oil spill. So should it go out of control? So this is something of great concern to us.
You say that you're on standby with volunteers to be able to help the cleanup operations. What form do you think these cleanup operations could take?
So in terms of the marine environment, we're really looking at a lot of the seabirds. They get a lot of these oils stuck in their feathers, and so this is going to be a capture of some of these seabirds that get caught in the oil in order to try and cleanse them and then send them back to the wild. Unfortunately, I need to stress that the survival rate of these birds after they've been captured is really, really low. So we'll do what we can, but it's with a heavy heart that we do it. If we get called to action.
The Department of the Environment is asking people to report any wildlife that they see affected by oil or by the spill. So how important is it to get the public involved in actually doing this?
I think it's crucial, because ultimately the more eyes we've got on the coastline, the more chance we have to find these animals, and the sooner we find them and the sooner we clean them and rehabilitate them, the more chance they have of surviving and minimizing the impact of the environment. So it's really, really important. So I'd really urge members of the public that are watching this tonight, please report anything you see as quickly as possible.
Lewis, finally, we talk of worst case scenarios. What would be the best case scenario for you?
I think for us, it's clear. It's the oil that's really causing the problem, and the fuels on board. So what we want is for the fuels to be removed in the best case scenario without any more spillages, and then it would be a success story, really.